fog has largely moved out. The temperatures are expected to be in the mid to high 70s. But as you at home look at the field, from left to right, you're basically seeing the open end of the stadium, which would be to the left of your screen, pointing right to the southwest. It's not a true north-south stadium. It's really at kind of an angle here on the Bakersfield College campus. And later on in the afternoon, it could really become a problem for receivers and the respective quarterbacks. Now, let's talk about some of those numbers. As far as Bakersfield is concerned, even though they're behind in the state rankings to Fullerton, they're way ahead of them in a couple of other areas. Offensively, they're averaging over 400 yards a game, Dale, and 48 points. Big numbers.
Yes, sir. They've certainly got some good people. Stan Green, I understand, is the highest-rated quarterback in terms of efficiency in the state of California at this point. And some of the coaches that Coach Sherbeck talked to this week that have played against Stan have said that he's underrated even at that.
That could be the one scary thing. There you see a comparison of the numbers so far this season. The Hornets are ahead in some areas, behind in others. But like Dale is saying, they have the #1 ranked quarterback in the state efficiency-wise. They also have the #1 scoring player in one of their running backs, and that's Reggie Yarborough. So individually and collectively, they're very powerful. Now, the big question, if you're a Hornet fan, and it is really, I guess, your side of the argument, is the strength of the schedule, especially in the Southern California area with the remodeled Mission Conference in its 3 divisions. The Hornets, of course, 10-0 in that. The Bakersfield team, while coming out of the Western State Conference, a 2-division league from farther up north in California, and although they have had tremendous victories, and we'll give you some scores later on about very one-sided affairs, the record of all of their opponents added together at the end of the regular season, 36, 64, and 1. That means all those teams collectively only won 36% of their games.
And you know what, Mark? None of that really means a thing right now.
It may not.
Comes right down to this. They got to play football, and let's see who's going to win it.
And they're both healthy, so nobody has any excuses. Back deep for Bakersfield to get things underway will be Eddie Thomas, and along with him will be Ray Braxton. Getting ready to kick off for the Hornets, the man who's been doing it all year long, and that's Kirk Hainline. Ball taken inside the 10-yard line and returned up to the 20 for the Renegades by Todd Bobo.
I think we're going to have a clip on the opening play. Yes, we are. So right off the bat, we're going to start out with good defensive position for the Fullerton Hornets.
There you see the backfield arrangement for the Renegades. Green, Yarborough, Rice, Collins, Blackman, and Sykes. We'll give you some individual numbers. And here's the tackles. Williams, Matthews, Miller, Pearson, Soto. Both of those tackles are enormous. The penalty was on the Renegades, clipping on the return. So, be 1st and 10 for Bakersfield and from their own 10-yard line.
Excuse me, Mark. Kenny Bell was in on that opening tackle on the kickoff return.
Just took him 4 seconds to get the holding penalty.
Got some movement in the offensive line. I think the left tackle, number 72. He's a big-looking fella himself.
It will be procedure against the Renegades. That'll back them up 5 more. Defensively, this is how it looks for the Hornets. You've seen these names before. Femley and Flowers, Hager, Mason, and Healy. Lavia, Johnson, Estes, Rollins, Christensen, and Glatzhofer. And we should talk about the size. The 2 tackles for the Renegades, 295 and 336. This is a fellow you're going to see a lot today. Reggie Yarborough with his first carry of the ball game.
Just a head-off tackle. Tried to just beat Fullerton in a physical way and just weren't able to do it, just like a lot of other teams so far this year haven't been able to on that same situation.
So they had a 1st and 15 after a half the distance to the goal penalty for clipping, and then 5 more for motion. And on that play, it's a 2-yard run by Yarborough. Now it'll be 2nd. They can call it a long 12, short 13 from the Bakersfield 7-yard line.
Should see them testing the cornerbacks right now.
They'll run split backs almost
the wide side.
They'll run split backs almost the whole time. There's Yarborough, and he really got met at the line of scrimmage.
Oh, what a nice hit. That was James Rollins on that one.
James Rollins in on a good stick for the Hornets on Yarborough.
Well, he's setting the tone right now, Mark.
There's going to be some serious hitting on this one, you can be sure.
Well, Yarborough's had 2 serious hits now and two straight plays, so he's been introduced.
That'll move the ball up to the 11-yard line. A gain of 4 on that one by Yarborough. It'll be 3rd and 9. Stan Green, 105 of 186, 1766, 20 touchdowns in 1988. Sets him strong right, split backs, looking for his favorite receiver, and that's Lindsey Collins.
Yeah, Lindsey's a good ball player. He's been real productive this year, but you're not going to catch the ball if you don't look it all the way into the hands before you turn up. Lindsey turned up before he had a chance to really make contact with the ball.
Now you have to wonder about...
Little butterflies seem to be on the red-shirted side of the field today, early on.
Now you get an interesting test for the first time for the Hornets, as back to return the punt will be Tim Imperiale. He's brought punts and kickoffs back for touchdowns this year.
See if that sun affects him, Mark.
Kicks away. He takes it at the 44. Imperiale will get maybe 2 yards. Tackle made by the Renegades, Kelly Ballou.
Get down around the 39-yard line. That's excellent starting field position. I'll tell you what, that's one of the things you like to do, is in a ball game like this, maybe defer on the kickoff so that you can take the second half kickoff in terms of offense, and you can start playing defense on the first time around. If there's any jitters, Mark, that's where it's going to show up most, in the offensive side.
There you saw the backfield set, and we'll bring that back in a second for you. 1st and 10 for the Hornets from the Renegades' 39-yard line. Split formation. Victor Williams, number 3 in the state, as a quarterback. Stan Green, of course, as we said, for Bakersfield, listed number 1. And Jeff Andrews, the number 3 ranked rusher in the state of California. And like their counterparts, the Hornets start off with a 5-yard motion penalty.
Yeah, that was the right side of the offensive line, I believe, there.
It'll be 1st and 15 before we do anything. And that'll move it back to the Bakersfield 44-yard line. As we said in our pregame activity, both schools in their 75th year, both outstanding football programs. And both of them getting penalized in the biggest game of the year so far.
It's that offensive jitters.
In motion, as Imperiale, they're going to give the ball on the first legitimate play of the game to Andrews. Andrews got maybe back to the... Well, they're going to give him credit for a yard, but frankly, I don't know how. The last line of scrimmage was the 45-4. Now he's back at the 45, so we're going to call it a loss of 1. That'll make it 2nd and 16.
That's a big physical defense. They've definitely decided that Jeff Andrews isn't going to hurt them today.
They have some big people up there across the front. We'll tell you about them in a moment. Meanwhile, it's going to be 2nd and at least 15 for the Hornets. In motion this time is going to be Matt Waddell. Williams looking quickly to Waddell. Brought down at the 50-yard line immediately by Royce Robinson.
That's a super play by Robinson. He didn't take the fake from the upfield receiver. The outside receiver was supposed to drive upfield, and he was supposed to go with him, and he let him go and came right up on the ball.
Well,
just nice defense.
3rd and 21 back at the 50-yard line. Coming into the game for the Hornets, Ray Polaris. And also, I believe Clipper Hackett came in there a moment ago. Jeff Andrews out. You'll see a straight or basic, well, it depends on who you want to talk to, 3-4 or 52. We were debating that before the game. It's a conventional pro defense for the Renegades.
I'll tell you right now, though, Mark, they're just lining up and playing straight football.
Single setback, strong to the left for the Hornets. Williams backpedaling, 7-step drop, swings it out to Polaris, his favorite backfield receiver, and the pass is incomplete. We're going to go now to Gary Hilbert, our sideline announcer, with his first report of the afternoon. Gary?
Mark and Dale here on the so much electricity, of course, of the crowd and the field of Fullerton players screaming and kicking.
Our apologies, Gary Hilbert's microphone cutting out a little bit. Matt Waddell, who kind of inherited the punting chores for the Hornets, lets it go from the 50-yard line. Punt is fair catched and then dropped at the Renegades' 22-yard line. And I believe the Hornets think they came up with it.
They did, Mark. It was Lindsey Collins on the return. He came up too hard, let the ball get underneath him. He rolled over the top of it. And I believe it was number 43 that came up with the football for the Hornets.
Lindsey Collins.
Yes, it was Toby Howell.
Fumbling at the 24.
That's a big contribution.
And with 11:48 in the first quarter, the Hornets will take over on the first major turnover of the afternoon. 1st and 10 now from Bakersfield's 24-yard line. In motion, Nick John Haydick. Pitch back to Jeff Andrews. He'll take a look at the right side and gets the sizable block to move down from the 24-yard line down to nearly the 15. Gain of nearly 9 on that.
You know, Mark, we were talking before the game, if you recall, and you mentioned to me that Coach Sherbeck had said that he didn't think the kicking game was going to have a whole lot of impact on this game. And thus far, you know, the bad punt, first of all, by Bakersfield out of their own end zone, gave Fullerton great field position to start their first drive, and now the botched punt return has given Fullerton an excellent scoring opportunity now.
Andrews with 8 yards on that. They spot it back at the 16. That's apparently where he put his knee down. Split backs, Haydick and Imperiale wide to the left. Now they'll shift into an I formation. A blitz being shown by the Renegades. They send a linebacker, and Andrews steps up before he can get there. And Andrews will get back to the line of scrimmage if he's lucky. It's probably the 17, so a loss of 1.
I think he's got the first down, Mark. He does.
My apologies.
The angle's pretty tough up here.
Well,
folks.
the angle's a little tough, and we're about 30,000 feet above the field, too. So
we had a nosebleed up here.
So my eyes are beginning to blur. They made it to the 12. It's a gain of 4. No matter what I said, 1st and 10 at the Renegades' 12-yard line. I've been in some JC stadiums with a steep climb up to the press box, but you practically had hiking boots to get up here. Clock running down at 10:35 in the first quarter. And we may have an option pass here by Andrews. Play will not work. Dragged down from behind by outside linebacker Devon Edwards.
Well, you know what happened there, Mark, was initially, before the ball was snapped, they showed a man coverage, a man coverage there. And right as the ball was snapped, they went into a 2-deep zone coverage. So there was a safety back to help out with the extra receiver.
Here's the way they stack up in the quarterback position. We said Stan Green is on top in our graphic and also top in the state. 105-86, 1766, 20 touchdowns and 5. And Victor Williams ranked number 3. Nothing to be ashamed of there. And yet Victor's actually thrown more passes than Stan Green. The question is, among other coaches, has Green been used as much as he could be? They say he's underrated even though he's already number 1. Williams rolling, looking for Imperiale, and running out of time. He'll just throw it away.
There's a typical Victor Williams play. That's what I like about Victor more than anything else. More than the touchdown passes, anything else. The guy's a winner because he doesn't beat himself.
Now, if you were a 6-foot, 180-pound sophomore like Victor Williams, and you had 6'5", 266-pound Arthur Paul chasing you, wouldn't you throw the ball away too?
I'll tell you what, Mark. I think 6 foot might be pushing it for Victor.
And he's almost 6 feet wide, or as far as Arthur Paul is concerned.
Yeah, well, Victor plays like he's about 7 feet tall, but I don't think he's quite 6 feet. But that's just a classic example of why he doesn't beat himself. He just had the presence of mind and know where to throw the football.
Ball is spotted on the 17-yard line. They need to get to the 2. So it'll be 3rd and 15 from the Bakersfield 17, and I think we've either got a whistle or we got a timeout. We're going to have a motion call.
We've got to delay a game. Delay a game, Mark. And that may hurt us a little bit now if we don't get those 5 yards back, because it's going to be kind of, that could have a bearing on a potential field goal here.
Here you see the running back situation. Now, Reggie Yarborough, number 1 scorer in the state with those 20 TDs. Jeff Andrews, number 3. And Jeff just recently named to the second-team JC All-American squad. So doing fine there as well. It'll be 3rd and 20. There's a good look at Victor Williams from the 22. Sets Mike Thomas in motion. Drop back, look into the end zone. No, he'll go to the short man, Haydick. And Haydick knocked down immediately by inside linebacker Everett Lampkins. He got to the 19, so it'll be a gain of 8 yards. And that's all. Brings up 4th and 12 from the Bakersfield 18-yard line.
Well, we're getting ready to look at the top kicker in the state, and I believe the recent All-American pick himself, Kirk Hainline.
Maybe longer than that now. The ball spotted at the 26-yard line. This would be a 36-yard field goal attempt by Hainline, number 1 kicker in California.
That looks good to me.
And that's why. 8:59 left in the first quarter, and Kirk Hainline, who, by the way, if you have not heard, was just named the JC All-American place kicker by JC's Gridwire, and he puts the Hornets on top by a score of 3-0.
Well, so far I'm pretty impressed with Bakersfield's defense, Mark. They've held a couple times now when they had, poor field position. Their backs up against the wall. They've done a real good job. They just line it up playing straight football. They're trying to really just match up man for man and tell you to beat them. And thus far, anything that Fullerton's been able to get has come real hard.
Well, a fine job by the Hornets after they took the ball over with 11:48 to bring it down for the three-point play by Kirk Hainline. And there you see some Fullerton College championship rings from the past. And they'd like to do that again if they possibly can. Hainline will now put on the face of the kickoff man. And the Renegades have their folks back trying to get something going on their next series. Ball taken at the 5-yard line by Eddie Thomas. Tripped up by guess who for the Hornets? You got it, Kevin Capps. Little 5'7" linebacker did it again.
He's everywhere.
So the kickoff return for Thomas of 10 yards. Renegades taking over 1st and 10 at their own 18-yard line.
Well, let's see if they open it up and throw it a little bit more here.
They're known for doing that, and of course the fellow that the Renegades Stan Green likes to go to, Lindsey Collins, and that's Lindsey Collins there. Pass incomplete. Collins, 44 passes caught in 1988, which tied the Bakersfield College record, 944 yards. He averages 21.5 yards every time he catches the ball and 13 TDs.
Yeah, and that record he tied is his own from the year before.
From the year before. Gee, I wonder if he'll get to transfer to a 4-year school.
I would say so.
Split back Stan Green at the helm for the Renegades. Double wideouts to the top of the screen, one to the bottom. The Hornets just read, no blitz. This time they pass the ball off to the flanker man, Bobby Blackman. And Blackman from the 18 out to nearly the 33-yard line.
Fullerton's claiming they got the football again, but I don't think the officials are going to agree with them. Blackman actually really changed up there. Normally the receiver makes that catch and pivots back out toward the sideline, which is just exactly where the defensive back that time, I think it was Dorian Estes, came up on the outside to stop that. And this time Blackman made a real nice move back inside and was able to pick up about 12, 15 more yards.
Gain of 15 on that last play. 1st and 10 now from the Renegades 33. Another quick little shot to the far side. Lindsey Collins gets his first reception of the game, and he'll move the ball up to almost the 42-yard line.
Well, we're clearly seeing a pattern now, Mark. They've gone to that short pass now about 5 times. I think they must feel that Fullerton's corners are going to give them a lot of cushion. I'm not real sure why. Estes and Rollins have done a super job all year of staying with people tight, so I don't really think there's any reason for them to be off so much that they're getting those passes completed that consistently underneath them.
If you're a Hornet follower, to be diplomatic, well, we'll get to it after this play. Split backs, and there's Stan Green faking a pass. He's going to swing it out to the side. Maceo Barbosa was the man making the reception, and he's knocked out of bounds quickly by the Hornets' Wes Flowers.
Yeah, Wes came all the way across the field and ran him down. That was just super effort. He was up in the quarterback's face, and when he dumped the ball, he just kept right on going by the quarterback and hustled over the sidelines, made a great play.
There you get a look at the brain trust for the Bakersfield Renegades. Loss of 4 on that last play. So it'll make it third and long 5 back on the 37-yard line. They try to go to Collins again, and he can't put his hands on it.
Well, they're going to keep going that short game, aren't they? This is going to be a team that's going to run the football at you, throw short, and then try to hit the big pass over your head every now and then.
Suffice it to say that the Renegade players in being interviewed this week were very, very confident, almost to the point of being a little bit too confident. Meanwhile, the Hornets were more subdued in their comments. The punt's away, and it's a bad one by Jason Pendleton.
Well,
but it gets a wonderful Renegade bounce and almost bumps into a Hornet player.
Doesn't count, my friend. It's all going to come back. I think, let's see, we're going to be close to a first down. That's going to be a 5-yard penalty for too many men on the field, Fullerton.
And that's really a shame if you're following the Renegades. That was a 46-yard punt by Pendleton, and it's going to be for nothing. Anyway,
not necessarily. I mean, they
motion Renegades.
They got motion on the
So
Renegades.
they'll bring it back. Anyway,
but we're also going to have a penalty here for too many men on the field for Fullerton.
Okay, well, that still would mean they'd probably do the whole thing all over again.
Probably
anyway,
would.
Getting back to this point, several of the Renegade players were interviewed this week, and some people even said they were a little bit cocky in their attitude about how they felt they would take on the Hornets. Meanwhile, Dorian Estes kind of stirred the pot a little bit, and assessing the receivers that he was going to face from the Renegades, he said they're good. They're not as good as Saddleback, and we beat them. There you see the officials for today's game. Referee Bill White, the field judge Jim Farmer, the head linesman is Rick Kellenberger. Jim Farmer, well, no, they made a change on me there. Dean Crowley is the back judge, and Kevin Matthews is the field judge.
It's good to see my old friend Jim Farmer back down there again, former coach at West Los Angeles Junior College.
Well, they're going to have a little
Boise State.
They're going to have a little discussion down there about what's going on. One thing we can tell you about the first quarter, as far as the Renegades are concerned, they have been held scoreless in the first quarter only twice this season. Meanwhile, for the Hornets, that's their best time of the game defensively. They've only allowed 10 points in the first quarter all year. Keep in mind, the Renegades average 48 points a game. The Hornets only allow 19.5, so something's got to give there. And then when you kind of turn it around the other way, when it comes to the Hornets offensively, they're 366 yards per game. And defensively, Bakersfield only allows 225. There you see
Hal's down there working.
the winningest man in college football,
working the rule
JC
books.
level, after his 50-0 loss here in his first game against Bakersfield long ago and far away. But since that day, he's gone 220-67, counting the losses after that one and 6 ties. And he's out directing traffic among the officials. Now, they finally reached an agreement here, and frankly, I don't understand it.
Well, the too many men on the field was declined, as was the illegal procedure on the part or the motion. So they would have offset, but so that everyone could keep the kick, Fullerton went ahead and just took the ball.
Well, that ought to be a little bit interesting. Now maybe field position will become a factor. It's going to be 1st and 10 for the Hornets from their own 18-yard line. Imperiale wide out to the bottom of your screen. Nick John Haydick to the top. I formation. Victor Williams straight up the middle to Jeff Andrews, and he's got a pretty good hole. Nick Thomas making the stop for the Renegades. Moves the ball from the 18 out to the 28-yard line. It is officially a gain of 10 yards.
Yeah, some real nice blocking there by the center, Brian Woods, and 66, Joe Hayes on the right side. Really has sprung some blocks there that I should say sprung Jeff Andrews loose on that play.
Well, officially now they're going to take it back a little bit. They're going to say 2nd and less than a yard. They're going to have double wideouts this time to the bottom of your screen. Matt Waddell out there along with Haydick. They're sending a linebacker. He is dumped immediately by Ray Polaris.
You called it. What a beautiful block, huh?
Great block by Polaris. And as a result of that, I think Andrews got the first down. They sent a linebacker. They sent Everett Lampkins from, on that play, the right side of the Hornet line, and Polaris knew it. So that could have been an audible by Victor Williams at the line, or some good homework done by the Hornets back in Orange County.
Well, I'll tell you, that was a super block by Ray. He really annihilated the defender, but you know what? We didn't get an inch on that run.
3rd and that much for a first down.
So somebody else was playing good defense.
They're going to send in a linebacker again. The Hornets this time go right back to the same hole. They sent a linebacker from the left side of the Hornets line, and Andrews went to his same spot to the right. Got enough that time from the 27 officially out to the 32.
You know what I think is going to be an interesting thing to look for as this game goes on is how well, and I don't think he's been tested this way, but I don't know how well, and there you see Jeff's numbers, I don't know how well Jeff has stood up, had to stand up to the kind of beating I think he's going to take from this big physical defense out here today.
It's 266, 246, and 240, the 3 downmen.
And they're hitting him.
And they're hitting him. There's a lot of hard hitting down there at this moment. Haydick in motion, strong right, I formation. Williams, second man, it's Andrews. From the 32 to the 36, gain of 4.
Coach Sherbeck certainly doesn't seem to have any apprehension, though, about how much he can take. He's dishing it out every time.
Well, you know, we talked a little bit about this earlier, and we've talked about it all season long. Size-wise, the Hornets have been outmanned weight-wise all year long, and yet it doesn't really seem to affect them. It might sound like a little bit of a put-down, but you go down on the sidelines before a game when they're warming up, and quite honestly, I've seen high school teams that appear bigger than they are, and yet they dish it out every week. So
that's right. They're well coached.
You don't get to be 10-0 and #1 in the country by accident.
Well, they've got some players that want to win, and they're well coached.
And there's one of them. That's Polaris, I believe, and he'll move it to the 40, but there's a flag, so we'll just wait on this one. And usually when it's there and it's in the line, it's going to either be motion or holding. I think it was the head linesman that threw the flag.
Well, we've got 11 red-shirted referees out there that say it's on the Fullerton people.
Well, Arthur Paul pointed toward the Hornets, and he's much bigger than I am. I'll take his word for it. And it is motion against the Hornets. So that'll back them up and make it 2nd and 11, assuming they take the penalty, and they will.
Well, thus far, Fullerton running the ball as much as they have is pretty consistent with what Coach Sherbeck told me was going to take place. He said, we got to keep the ball out of the quarterback's hands. And the only way to do that is hang on to the ball. We can't let Stan Green run his offense.
Hey, that's the best thing. You can't do it if you're not on the field. And as far as the Hornets are concerned, and Hal Sherbeck in particular, he said they had a good week of practice. I asked him about the crowd, and he said the main thing you have to do is just keep your players focused. And remember, they began the year with 12 sophomores and 72 freshmen, but these young men have grown up in a hurry. Williams doing pirouettes in the backfield, off to Polaris, and he's got a block.
And he's got a first down.
And he's up to the 43-yard line.
Ryan Wood's out there leading for him on that screen.
Gain of 13. There you see Tim Imperiali's numbers compared to Lindsey Collins. Collins, one of the top receivers in the state.
But you've got to remember there that they spread the ball around a lot more at Fullerton. There are a lot of receivers catching footballs. Lindsey's the primary guy here at Bakersfield. That's why Tim doesn't have more catches for more yardage and touchdowns.
That's right. There's some guy named Haydick on the other side.
Haydick, and there's Wiley. I mean, they throw the ball to their backs. They use everybody. They do a great job of it.
This was the thing that had Coach Bowser concerned from Bakersfield defensively, is just simply that the Hornets do so much. It was a gain of 13 that time for Polaris. Williams this time looking to Haydick. Can't do that. He's got a wide open receiver in Shane Wiley, and it's right through his hands.
He got it up a little high.
Not the best pass in the world.
Well, not to your tight end. He's been in there beating up linemen, and he's not quite ready to go up that high for the ball on his first catch.
And there was a guy down there with all the bands before the game that had a step ladder, went up about 12 feet in the air. That might have helped him on that one. But
actually, on that play, when they went into the slot, the corner widened out with the motion man, and they had the slot man, as it turned out, wide open up the field for about a 10-yard seam pattern. He could have probably run for another 20.
When I said Shane Wiley just went through his hands, keep in mind he was 6'3" and practically jumping then, so he can reach up the stairs a little bit himself, but that was still too high. Single back, double wideouts to the bottom of the screen. Now they're going to send Andrews in motion. Haydick to the top. Williams wants to go to him, can't. He'll swing it to Polaris to the left.
He's got
three blockers.
I'll tell you, Bakersfield really recovered well on that. The screen was perfectly set up. They sent Jeff Andrews out into the field, which took the linebacker out with him and really cleared a whole zone for Polaris. There were 3 linemen out leading him, and all of a sudden they disappeared, and Bakersfield, held that to about, I'd say, around a 9-yard gain.
Polaris.
It's a first down.
It is. They went from the Hornets 43 to the Renegades 47. So it's a gain of 10 yards. You may be able to hear in the background the coaching staff for the Hornets, and the Renegades assistants are up here not too far from us as well. We were talking about the pass receiving of Ray Polaris. He stands about 6th in line among the entire Hornets squad. From out of the backfield, a fullback position, basically, had 26 receptions, 319 yards, 12.3 yard average every time he caught the ball. And as far as touchdowns goes, 2 from that area. There you see the national championships the Hornets have won up till now, 1965, 67, and 1983. And they would like to make today number 4. There's a timeout on the field at the moment, and frankly, we did not see who called it. It was apparently a Hornets timeout.
Yeah, actually, they had a mix-up on the offensive set.
And there you see what looks close to a capacity crowd here. Memorial Stadium seats about 19,500, and most of them are here. The last report we had this morning is that they had 17,000 plus tickets sold when the gates opened at something like 9 o'clock this morning. So we'll hope to get an attendance figure later on, but JC football is big in this part of the state, be sure of that. The Hornets set to go 1st and 10 from the Renegades 47. Williams pitch back to Andrews around the right side. Another good block by Ray Polaris. And Andrews is down inside the 40-yard line.
Now that's a fine play there just by alignment. That play worked primarily because of alignment. They went into a slot. the Bakersfield defense widened to the side of the slot and made it real easy on the wide side of the field for Fullerton to block the corner and get around. Andrews was around the corner before anyone was even involved in the play, just because of the alignment of the offense.
And another great block by by Ray Polaris for Jeff Andrews. Tony Goulet now comes in at the fullback spot for the Hornets, but they'll split everybody out wide now. Haydick to the far side, Imperiali near side. Goulet behind Victor Williams, and they slot Jeff Andrews. They're going to give it to Goulet, and he's not going to really go much of anywhere.
Yeah, I think he got a foot.
Maybe a foot, and he was met by two different Renegade ball players in there for him, Michael Williams and Everett Lampkins, and he got basically nothing on that one.
I think that's some real active linebackers. Notice that they've got good size. They're real aggressive.
They're going to give him credit for a yard, and they're being quite charitable between you and me. It's at the Bakersfield 39-yard line. Now they got a set I haven't seen in a while from them. 3 setbacks. Williams is going to give it to Andrews.
He got the first down.
He's popped at first by Lampkins at about the 36-yard line, but he'll fall from there over the 35, and he may even have the nose of the football into the far side of the 34-yard line, so just a little bit beyond the 35.
You know, this would be a great place this would be a great time now, Mark, for a trick type of play, something a gimmick kind of play, a halfback pass, a reverse, something of this nature.
The other thing you kind of wonder about, it'd be a good time for play action, too, because they've really made it kind of look in the last couple of plays like they're setting up the running game, and that might be a good time to do that as well. They're going to send Waddell in motion, and it's a reverse to Haydick, and he's shirt-collared at first by Michael Thomas and down from there.
That's why I'm not a coach. I guess it wasn't such a good idea. That play took a little long to develop. I think there was a lot of line surge on the Bakersfield side of the line, which really kind of threw the timing of the play off into the backfield.
Yeah, I don't want you to worry, but it looks like Coach Sherbeck's got you about as far from the field as he could get you today.
Hey, he ran the play, huh?
That's right. He must have heard you. As a result of that, by the way, it's 2nd and 17, back on the Renegades' 42-yard line.
Well, the reason for that was Fullerton had run a pretty standard offense up to that point, pounding away, and maybe you throw something in there a little different.
This is a good down for a blitz. It's also a good time if you're Victor Williams to launch one for the end zone. He's got Imperiali on man coverage wide out to the bottom of the screen. Imperiali broken away from his man. They try to flood the middle of the field, and the ball is batted away for the Renegades by Everett Lampkins. And it's good that it was, because if Lampkins hadn't swatted it, Imperiali and Ray Polaris were both there.
I think right now Victor's a little confused. They're seeing a whole lot of different looks in terms of the coverage. They've got a little man in there, a little 3-deep zone, and some 2-deep zone with some 5 under coverage with man and zone combination.
And yet they're not really blitzing a lot. They're not jumping a lot of people around.
No.
It's a different look on every down. 3rd and again 17 from the Renegades' 42-yard line. Less than a minute remaining in the first quarter. Happy you could join us via Fullerton College Media Services for the 37th annual Shrine Potato Bowl. Williams on 3rd and 17 swings it out to Polaris, and this may not work either. The Renegades bring him down at the 44, and they're lucky, though there is a flag, and that's probably a holding call right on the line of scrimmage. So just hold everything here.
This game's going to come down to big plays, Mark.
It's holding, and it's against the Hornets. Now the question is, does Bakersfield want to take it or decline it? They haven't had great field position up till now. You might want to back them up, but then again, do you want to give them another down? The ruling is they will decline the penalty, and there's Bill White with the official signal.
Well, that says a lot that they went ahead and declined it. They must have some thorough respect for the Fullerton offense to think that they could come up with around 20-some-odd yards, close to 20 yards, to pick that first down up.
Hainline on to punt from the spot of the Renegades 44. Excuse me, I said Hainline, I meant Matt Waddell. Waddell gets a pretty good one away. Signal for the fair catch and taken at the 10-yard line by Lindsey Collins. And there's 9 seconds remaining in the first quarter for the Renegades to set sail from their own 34 yards on the kick. End of the field.
Actually, that would have been a 30-yard play to get a first down if they had taken the holding penalty there. So that says something about what they think of Fullerton's offensive capability. They wouldn't give him one shot and try to get 30 yards. I haven't seen anything Fullerton's done yet that's going to get that kind of yardage against Bakersfield right now.
They're sending a linebacker, the Hornets are, that is. The pass is intended on a slant play over the middle to Lionel Sykes, the tight end for the Renegades, and maybe kind of the hidden guy in the whole story as far as the Renegades.
You know, if you notice one thing, I don't know if you've noticed it or not, Mark, but you know, Stan Green has been really not too consistent throwing those quick passes right now, and I'll tell you what it is, he's not getting his feet set up quick enough. I mean, he's not getting them back there set and throwing.
He may not have time. We were speculating between ourselves whether or not the Hornets,
no, he has nervous feet.
With their
he's got nervous
defensive
feet,
set are trying to rush him, and I think they are.
Now there he makes a fine pass, and he doesn't get any help because now Lindsey's got nervous hands.
I think that time that the Hornets sent Wes Flowers on a little defensive trick as well. So he's got nervous feet, but I think the feeling is, and it's what the Renegades expected, that with their linebackers, the Hornets would do a lot of things to try to mess up his timing, and so far it has.
It has, but they haven't really come after him that much.
Just enough to get him nervous.
I think he was nervous when he opened the game, Mark.
It could well be. I mean, this is...
And I don't think he stopped being nervous.
We'll tell you about the scores of people they played so far, but nobody of the caliber of the Hornets. Green now looking out to Collins at the 22, and he falls forward to the 25 and out of bounds. That'll stop the clock, but it also ends the first quarter. And the pass is a gain of 15 yards to Collins to end the first period of play. Hurricane line with a 36-yard field goal, and the Hornets 1/4 of the way home in the 37th annual Shrine Potato Bowl, striving for what they hope will be their 4th national championship, leading by a score of 3-0. Mark Elmer, along with Dale Hoy, our statistician Joe Arden, and our entire sports crew from Fullerton College Media Services, bringing you the 4th appearance by the Hornets in the Potato Bowl. They have an 8-2 record in this building overall. They played other bowl games and postseason play here in the past, and they are 6-1 against Bakersfield in this stadium. Now, another statistic, Dale, that could be interesting in that entire first quarter. Remember, we said Renegades had been held scoreless only 2 times this season. They never got beyond the 37-yard line, their own 37-yard line in the entire first quarter. Another blitz is on by the Hornets. Reception made for the Renegades by Bobby Blackman, and a good and very timely ankle tackle for Fullerton by Dorian Estes.
You know, Dorian Estes and James Rollins both have looked a little apprehensive today, though. They're coming up a little apprehensive. They must have seen something on film as far as these guys breaking the long one out of a short pass, because they're sure coming up apprehensive. I'm not used to seeing them play like that.
Well, you don't get to be 10-0 in the Western States Conference by accident either. They've got to have respect for the Renegades. Here's Green launching one, and it's caught but out of bounds by Blackman. Defending for the Hornets was James Rollins, and here's Gary Hilbert with a sideline report.
Mark and Dale, something going on here on the sidelines. The last time the Fullerton College Hornets had the ball offensively, they had some problems moving the football. Well, offensive coach Ted Armillo had something to say to his players to really exist to the nose guard. They haven't been quick enough to the guy, and that's how come that the Fullerton ground game wasn't as effective the last time they held the ball. So we'll have to wait and see from then on. Okay, back up to you guys in the booth.
Thank you, Gary. The nose guard he's talking about is Chris Figueroa of Bakersfield, and he was causing some problems for the Hornets. 3rd and 12 for the Renegades. Give the ball off to Carl Price. It was a 3rd and 2 play, I should say. And Price moves it from the 33 out to about the 38-yard line.
Price is another good-sized back, isn't he? 5'11", 217-pound sophomore. Good-sized running back.
And now they've made it to the 38. That's the farthest down the field the Renegades have been so far in the game. They have basically an entire sophomore offensive unit, except for 2 running backs, Roy Braxton and Gino Valpredo. The Hornets, meanwhile, are virtually all sophomores except for Mahi Lavia, who is a freshman.
On defense.
On defense. So it's veteran against veteran, and here we got veteran against veteran as well.
And a face mask.
But who got the face mask? Is it Collins, or is it going to be James Rollins?
It's going to be Rollins. It's a Fullerton penalty.
The pass moves the ball up to the Hornets' 48-yard line. Gain of 14. Gain of 14, and it'll be...
I can take a look at it. Just another quick hitter. Makes a nice move outside. Mullins comes up and just caught the face mask. Certainly not intentional, but they're going to call it anyway.
That's an unintentional penalty, so that'll be 5 more yards on top of that.
And this is the time to start shutting them down now.
1st and 10 now for the Renegades at the Hornets' 43-yard line. Split backs. Green will give to Carl Price again. Price from the 43 to the 37.
You know, when your strong safety's coming up and making the tackle there, you know, they're getting in past that offensive line. A tackle made by John Christensen, strong safety.
First quarter statistics we'll give you in a moment. And there is one glaring one, and that's what Hal Sherbeck wanted, and that's ball control. 2nd down, about 5 yards to go. Green with 3 wideouts, double split backs. Gives it to Yarborough, and that fools nobody as a large portion of the Hornets student body meets him on that one and throws him back from about the 35-yard line. They're going to give him credit for 2-yard gain. Yeah, he's quite frankly fortunate to have that. First quarter, time of possession for the Hornets, 13-13. For the Renegades, 1 minute and 47 seconds.
You know, right now, Bakersfield's doing the opposite to Fullerton in terms of time of possession.
And yet total offense was only 47 yards to 40 in favor of the Hornets. Of course, the one key thing, that turnover on the fumbled punt by Collins leading to a field goal. And there you see Carl Bowser, the head coach for the Renegades. He's in his 22nd year overall at Bakersfield College, his 5th at the helm of the Renegades. And he'll talk to his quarterback, Green. But I'm really surprised at some of these numbers, Dale, in the first quarter. Again, the total offense very close. The key thing so far is in the game, of course, is the big turnover by Collins that led to the field goal. But that time of possession has really got to make the Hornets happy. 13-13 to 1 minute 47. And there's a man who always looks concerned. Undefeated, untied, #1 in the country. By the way, in case you hadn't heard, he was also named Mission Conference Coach of the Year. And he looks like he's got a 0-10 team. Even when he wins, he never smiles. I think we got one little smile after the Rancho Santiago game.
He's a little busy right now because he's up to his neck in it right now because this Bakersfield team seems to have figured out the physical edge on Fullerton at the moment. They've got a little rhythm going. It's time to break that up, and I'm sure he's concerned about it. Head coach has been around long enough to know when the rhythm and things are starting to change in a ball game. He's got to get that momentum back.
Well, he talked about that. The players need to be focused, and of course, the key theme that he's explained to us and the writers for Fullerton College all season long is consistency. And this is not the kind of day where you can let down on that. 3rd and 2, ball at the Hornets 35. They will give it to Yarborough, their main man. And this is why Yarborough can go and will. Touchdown, Bakersfield Renegades. Reggie Yarborough this season, 115 carries, 905 yards, 7.9 average, and up till today, 20 TDs. Now he's got 21, the #1 scorer in the state for a back. Here's the #2 scorer as a kicker. Extra point by Jason Pendleton. And the Renegade Loyals are happy as the football goes out into the construction area. And Bakersfield on top now by a score of 7-3.
Well, I'll tell you, that was just some great blocking at the point of attack by Pierce, Matthews, Sykes, the tight end, Abraham Soto, the center. Just a great job on the right-hand side. They just eliminated everybody in the Fullerton defensive left side. And just Yarborough was able to just get back upfield and cut back on it. I'm sure we'll get a chance to look at it. You'll see that he made a great second effort, cut back on one of the inside defensive backs, taking an inside-out angle, and just took it the distance. He hasn't scored that many touchdowns because he doesn't know how to run, so he showed why he's
20 of them so far in the season.
Yeah,
and here
again,
comes
now you
21.
see him cut back now on the defensive back right there. And just keeps working in that end zone. He's a guy who smells that pay dirt.
And he's not a small back either. They say he's 6'1", 195. He looks a lot bigger than that to me.
That's true.
Well, now it'll be the test of The young Hornet squad against the older, more mature Renegades. Haydick and Imperiali back deep, but keep in mind that this year Imperiali has galloped all the way with one of these. It will go to Haydick. He will take it at the 5. Reverse.
That's a great call.
To Imperiali. He's got a hole. He could take off.
Come on.
Nick John Haydick, one man to beat. He cuts in on him.
What a move.
Nick John Haydick, 95-yard burn, no flag. Touchdown, Hornets.
Oh, boy, you called it. What a fabulous return. You know what, Mark? That was so well set up that even the reverse would have worked. I thought he handed it off, and if he'd handed it off, Imperiali would have gone the distance the other way. What a great call. Big games are won with big plays like that.
He was a track scholarship man at Cal Poly Pomona. He decided to stop being a Bronco and become a Hornet, but I'll tell you, there's the spirit of the Kentucky Derby in that one. Boy.
I'll tell you, it wasn't his track running that was so impressive there. It was his in and out maneuvering.
Haydick is not a big player, but he certainly filled the bill there.
He's big right now.
And that lit up the stands, and you've even got the Renegade fans smiling at that one. That was just an outstanding return. The number 1 and number 3 teams in the country in JC football, and this is why. So we see a whole quarter where we have 3 points scored, and in the matter of just a few moments, we have 2 touchdowns scored almost back to back. And I, quite frankly, try to keep track of the clock. We did not get an opportunity to record the time of that, but there's the man of this moment, Nick John Haydick, a 95-yard touchdown return for the Hornets. And now, along with that return, the number 1 kicker in the state, All-American Kirk Hainline, will try to put the Hornets back on top with the conversion. John Brocky to hold, and every point becomes important in a game like this. Hainline is perfect. 12:07 remaining until halftime, and the Hornets back on top by a score of 10-7. Here comes your replay, Dale Hoy, and this was
poetry in motion.
This
here,
is
Mark.
Textbook right here.
I don't know what I can say about this, but here's the fake, and you won't be able to see it, but Imperiali could have gone the distance. There's a great burst of speed. This is just speed right here. Now he sees what he's got to do, makes a great move.
There's the move.
That's right. And now here's the speed again, where he just is able to outrun everybody after he's made the initial move.
That was a little bit after the fake reverse, but I thought that Imperiali was going to get the ball, and he faked me out. You know, and obviously a lot of the Renegades too. So
you know, Fullerton has done a super job all year long of coming up with a big play when they needed it.
Remember, in August when it was 103, they had 72 freshmen. They're playing a lot more mature than one might expect.
These guys
now
are
the
not
Renegade
freshmen
fans
anymore.
are up on their feet, and we've got a good portion of the second quarter left and the whole second half to follow, and we're glad you could join us along your local cable network via Fullerton College Media Services. Kirk Hainline to kick it off. Now what are the Renegades going to do? The ball will be taken this time at the 5 for the Renegades by Thomas. Will history repeat itself at night?
Well, we got a shootout, don't we?
Thomas from the 5 out to the 42-yard line. So we're sorry that one was only a 38-yard return on that kickoff.
Yeah. Go have a sandwich. Come on back for the next kickoff. I'm sure it'll be more. We could watch a whole game just watching these people return kicks on both sides.
This time I'll write down the time as far as when the drive starts. You never know.
Oops, I think Mahi Lavia is going to be a little bit offsides there.
Well, the only freshman on the starting defensive set for the Hornets makes the first-year mistake, but Lavia saved a few ball games for the Hornets as well. And the 6', 210-pound player out of Western High School will get nailed for being a little bit over-anxious. So offsides against Lavia.
Let's see if we see Carl Price with the ball again.
Hornets now will set things underway. 1st and 5 from their own 47. Green, pass deflected at the line of scrimmage, and the man who did it was Pat Mason, the big 6'5", 270-pound defensive tackle out of Sunny Hills High School.
He's another one of those All-America types, isn't he?
We're going to go down to the sidelines again. Gary Hilbert with a report.
And 5. Markendale, we've got some information for you down here on the sidelines. Of course, Fullerton just scoring that touchdown. Things are flying high here on the sidelines, but pinched nerve is Monty Reedford's problem right now, but he'll be back in the ball game.
Gino Valpredo for Bakersfield on what I believe, other than the kickoff return, will probably be one of the biggest returns of the ball, or runs of the ball game, from the Renegades' 47-yard line. He moves the ball all the way down to Fullerton's 33.
And they've got another good-sized back in there in Gino Valpredo.
So that's a 20-yard gain.
205.
That's the second longest run of the ball game, other than the touchdown run earlier. Here's Green.
Oh, I thought that was going to be an interception.
So Valpredo, or Valpredo more accurately, one of 5 backs they shuttle in the offensive scheme for the Renegades.
Yeah, they could wear you down with these guys. They're 5'11", 190, 5'11", 217, 6'1", 195, 5'9", 204, and 6 foot 205.
So the Hornets show a lot of fronts and sets, and the Renegades show you a lot of different faces.
Yeah.
2nd and 10 from the Hornets' 33. Slot back, in motion, split backs, and 1-2 wideouts. They're going to give the ball this time to Valpredo again. And from the 33, he'll be down to about the 26, maybe 27-yard line, depending upon where they spot the ball.
You heard it said thousands and thousands of times, and I don't want to run it in the ground, but, you know, he who controls the line of scrimmage is going to win the ball game. And right now, Bakersfield is controlling that line of scrimmage.
And we're going to be thoroughly in control of what's going to go on here. We'll be back with more play-by-play right after this. You didn't miss a thing, and neither did the Hornets defense, as they read that one all the way and bring down Maceo Barbosa right at the 25-yard line. They'll give him maybe a yard.
You know, they seem to have had some real success when they've run these backs in this situation. Actually, I was going to say they've had a lot more success running their tailbacks, but that's not really the case, because Carl Price, one of their fullbacks, has done a real fine job too.
Barbosa on that last carry. 4th and 1. Crowd coming to its feet. 10-12 until halftime. Hornets on top by 3, nearly offsides.
I think
there is a flag, and the man with the ball is Reggie Yarborough. He's dragged down, but I believe they're going to nail the Hornets. Mahi Lavia, the freshman again, a little over anxious.
I don't know. Yes, it is.
Indication from the head linesman is it was the Hornets, and that could be a costly penalty.
That's a big one. That hurts. You had them stuffed.
So a 5-yard penalty against the Hornets again for offsides.
Offside penalty, 5 yards.
It's the second time Lavia's been caught with that. There's Hal, and that's the kind of thing that'll make any coach pace up and down the sidelines. 1st and 10 now from the Hornets' 19-yard line. This drive started for Bakersfield back on their own 47-yard line. It's Yarborough again, and it takes 3 guys to bring him down, and you might expect that. Boy, he looks a lot bigger than 195 pounds, and we're like a half a mile away from the playing field in this stadium.
He must be a strong one because he just ran right through Ernest Johnston and Lee Femley there.
2nd and 6 from the Hornets' 15-yard line.
Not going to arm tackle him. You got to step up there and meet him with the body and wrap up on him.
3 guys had his arms, and he just carried him right into the next area code on that one. 2nd and 6 from the 15. 2 wideouts to the bottom of the screen, one of the top split backs. Hornets show blitz. They try to go to Collins.
Collins doesn't look like he's real happy about coming across the middle, does he?
You got some of the finest defensive secondary people in the state in that Hornets secondary, as you might well expect. 17 players made all conference from the 1988 Fullerton squad. And a lot of them come out of that backfield, like Christensen and Glatzhofer, names like you've heard all season long. 3rd and 7.
Let's see if this might be a pass again here.
Green looks like he may be audibilizing. Give the ball this time to Maceo Barbosa, and he should have enough for the first. He's going to be real close. Officials timeout.
There's another situation where alignment pretty well set the play right before it was ever run. They just had more blockers in that area than Fullerton had defenders.
I may have said 3rd and 7. It was actually 3rd and 6, and he's real close to the stick, so that's why we'll wait and get the official word. Referee Bill White says he got enough. So Barbosa
was able to get the corner that time. He was able to get around the corner just because they had more people to block.
So officially now it'll be 1st and goal from the Hornets' 9-yard line. 9 minutes and 30 seconds until halftime here at the Shrine Potato Bowl in Bakersfield, California. Strong right, triple setbacks for the Renegades. Again, the Hornets arrive early at the dance, and they're going to get nailed again. I can, even from up here without using the binoculars on that play, you could see contact. So this is going to be half the distance to the goal. Strange things. There's Hal, and the expression never changes. Of course, that's the biggest frown I've seen of the day so far.
No, he's not happy right now. You know, these are the kind of mistakes that you're supposed to have worked out a long time ago. Teams contending for the national championship don't end up offsides. You know, you don't go until the ball's snapped.
That's the 3rd offsides penalty of the drive against the Hornets.
Now, a couple times it was primarily due to Fullerton's aggressive nature. You know, those linebackers, when they're bringing them all the time up the middle like that, then, you know, they've got to time that blitz, and sometimes they get caught. But that particular time, it was all defensive line movement.
Right at the 5. Give the ball to Yarborough. Guess what?
Well, that drive can be attributed as much to those offsides penalties as to anything else. And that's not to take anything away from Bakersfield's effort there, but they were stopped twice, and penalties came back to haunt them. Fullerton Hornets.
You just can't make those kind of mistakes.
Not at those times, no.
Against a team of this caliber and get away with it.
No, because when they had them stopped in 4th and 1, that was a big momentum switch when they didn't manage to stop him because of the penalty. He missed.
Pendleton missed the extra point. And boy, that one could come. Well, we've had a little bit of everything. We've had a fumbled punt. We've had a 95-yard kickoff return. We've had the key penalties, and now we have the mixed extra point.
I'm going to ask you how many big plays had the kicking game. Kicking game has run throughout this game, hasn't it?
And this has been the number 1 and 2 ranked kickers in the state.
You just take a look at it again, you'll just see that it's just good execution. Offensive line play. Just straight ahead blocking. Got the guard out on the linebacker, just straight ahead. They're just playing power football. They got bigger bodies. They're lining them up. They're pounding on them.
10 plays, 53 yards, 3 minutes and 8 seconds. And Bakersfield on top, 13-10.
You know, they're going to stay away from Nick John, huh? You know, so let's kick it to that other guy, Imperiale. I mean,
let's give it to Imperiale, who was only the top return man of the Mission Conference.
Yeah.
Well, they're going to get it to Haydick. This time he'll move from the 4. This time he keeps it again. This time it doesn't fool anybody.
Yeah, but he got nice field position out of it. 30-yard line. That's a nice place to start. Fullerton's going to have to be a little bit more creative, I think, with their passing game.
About a 20-yard kickoff return for Haydick on that one. And the Hornets will set sail with 8:45 until halftime.
Let's see what type of time that Victor Williams can get throwing the football this time, Mark.
Now, do you want a sustained drive, or do you want to come right back and send a message on this drive?
You know what you want? You want to score. However you do it, you want to score.
Again, remember, enormous ball control in the first quarter for the Hornets. Not so this time. Give it to Andrews. Off tackle. Breaks 1, breaks 2, breaks 3, breaks 4, and one of the reasons he may have broken some of those potential tackles is they're going to call, I think they're going to call Haydick for a clip for holding. There's the defensive set for, defensive squad that is, for the Hornets being counseled on the way to stop that guy named Yarborough, who's already got 2 touchdowns. And this is going to be more than just an incidental penalty. We look like we're going to get a full 10 out of this, so it's probably holding or a clip. It's going to be holding against the Hornets.
And normally when you see the wide receiver come down and make a block, you figure it's probably a clip. But this time Nick John got his hands caught in the cookie jar.
The line of scrimmage had been the 30-yard line. It's back to the 22, so at least John was 2 yards down the field when he did that. So it's technically going to be 1st and 18 from the Hornets 22. Single setback, double wideouts. Williams rolling to his right. He wants Haydick. He'll settle for
Clipper Hackett. Clipper Hackett.
Clipper Hackett.
That's a big play. That's a big play, Mark. Clipper, we haven't seen him catch the ball a whole lot this year, except early on in the season. That's a big play.
Hackett on an enormous gain that time for the Hornets from his own 22 all the way down to the Renegades' 45-yard line. Be a gain of 33 yards.
Yeah, the situation there that developed was because of the play action off to the left side. Victor was able to roll back to his right and had some time to locate a receiver.
Now, these guys that you see on the screen there, the defensive set, would like to stay doing just what they're doing, sitting there and talking, and let the offense spend the day on the field. Andrews tried to turn the corner, and the grass that, frankly, in early December looks like it's pretty well run its course for this year, comes out from underneath him. And
well, that is the one bad place on the field, Mark. I was walking the field earlier. The one bad place on the field is in front of both benches, and that's because it gets trounced on so much during the course of the year. And they had a high school local championship game here last night as well.
Yeah, they had a big one up here. Bakersfield's high school, I believe, or one of the Bakersfield area high school, they had 15,000 here for that one last night.
Bakersfield High against Western High, I believe it was. Bakersfield High won a close ball game.
We don't have the final score, but we were told that, like this one, it was a goodie. They're going to give it to Andrews. Bobs and weaves and twists his way down to the 37. So he'll get about 6 on that.
I'll tell you, there's no secrets, Mark. There's no secrets on blocking this thing. They're lining up in that, 5-2-3-4 look, whichever you want to call it, and right where to run at the bubble. The bubble being the softer area. The linebackers up by the guards, they're running right there and being successful.
I asked Coach Sherbeck earlier in the week, I said, you going to do anything fancy out of the ordinary? And it was basically, we're going to run what we brung, which got us here all year long.
That's right, you dance with them that brung you.
I formation this time, 3rd and 2. Ball spotted at the 36-plus yard line of the Renegades. Give it to
what a
Andrews.
nice block. Nice block by Polaris again, allowed him to get the corner.
Another good block by Haydick to tie up one of the cornerbacks as well. And Andrews moves it from the 36 all the way to the 25, a gain of 11 on that. I think that may be Jeff Andrews' biggest carry of the game so far. Let's go to Gary Hilbert.
Markendale, defensive coach Jeff Jesperson had a lot to say to his defensive squad as we saw the shot earlier. He says that his defense is too slow out on the field. They're not picking up the offensive signals quick enough from the other ball clubs. So that's been their main squeeze here on the sidelines, is for the defense to pick up the pace. And now back up to you guys.
1st and 10 from the 25-yard line. 6 minutes and 30 seconds until half. Williams doesn't see the pursuit. And we have the first sack of the ball game by the Renegades, and I believe it's linebacker Everett Lampkins who came in untouched.
On a blitz, that's right. Came right in between the guard tackle gap. Was completely untouched. And so that's the shortest distance between 2 points being a straight line. He took the shortest distance.
Loss of 10.
Now that's an example of when a linebacker timed it perfectly. Now if Victor had seen this, now here you see, right here, you'll just see him come right out through the screen. He's just blown by the guard before the guard has a chance to get to him. There's really not a whole lot that Joe Hayes could do with him. He timed it well. Victor has to see that and slow down his count so you catch the guy offsides.
Lampkins has been causing some heartache all game long for Williams. He'll look to the end zone now, or near it, to Hayden, who had the ball, lost it, and it's not considered a reception.
Oh, you don't see him do that often.
When you run 95 yards for a touchdown and you want another one, sometimes you get to pay dirt before the ball. And I think John probably peeked out of the corner of his eye there and knew that he had one in the bag if he could have held on.
Victor sure laid that ball in there nicely, didn't he?
Fine pass, and that time, unlike the play before it,
yeah, Victor had some time.
On that one, he had time.
Now, I'm not sure whether Nick looked up or not. He may have looked up and noticed he was in some dangerous territory.
I think it was either dangerous territory or he was thinking this one's going to make the highlight film, and it didn't make anything. 3rd and 10. He's in motion. That's Haydick. Williams will roll to his right, and we're not going to even finish this thing.
Delay a game. Too much time.
You know, one thing that we talked about throughout the season, and it could really become a factor, it's something that with a team of the caliber of the Hornets you would not expect. Coming into this national championship game, if you will, they had 98 penalties for 900 yards, averaging over 90 yards in penalties per game. And frankly, that's a stat that I've underlined in every game we've covered here on our Fullerton College telecast, and I wondered if it could come back to haunt them, and it certainly looks like it might be doing just that today.
Yeah, well, the big question there is when do you get the penalties? A lot of winning teams end up being highly penalized because they're very aggressive.
3rd and 25. Williams unloads it to Imperiale, and he went over 2 defenders and almost came up with it, but the pass is incomplete.
Great effort. That was a coverage play there. Everyone was covered on that play.
So that'll bring up a 4th and 25 from the Renegades' 41-yard line, and Hainline will be on to punt. This is another little questionable thing. Well, let's take a look at the replay first. Here's Williams.
Victor had plenty of time.
Great pass, but there were too many people in the neighborhood. And yet Imperiale almost came up with it.
Yes, he did. Fine effort.
Punting average has not been great, and that's one of the reasons why Matt Waddell became the punter later in the year. The team was only averaging about 32 yards a punt throughout the season. Line of scrimmage this time from the 41, and it'll roll out of bounds at the 16. And you have a 25-yard punt, and that's not going to help the situation either. So 5:22 until halftime here at the
Fullerton's
Shrine
defense,
Potato Bowl.
Excuse me, Mark. Fullerton's defense has been put through the ringer on the last couple series. Let's see if they can bend their neck and get it done this time. Or is that bow their neck?
Green looking across the middle again.
Got some pressure on him.
He wanted to throw that time to his tight end, Lionel Sykes, but Sykes was covered and he ran out of time.
Well, he didn't get back in the pocket. I mean, he got back, looked short, and then didn't continue to drop. I mean, he's got to continue to work away from the D line. Heck, they dropped him at about a 2-yard depth.
The line of scrimmage on the play had been the 16-yard line.
So you drop back, you set your feet to throw the short one. If the short one isn't there, you get back a little bit further, or you roll one way.
I think that's what you lovingly referred to earlier in the year as a coverage sack.
Yeah.
2nd and 14 from the Renegade 12, and Green's in trouble again. But this time he'll unload it to the tight end Sykes, who's knocked out of bounds at the 25-yard line. Tackle made by Mahilavia.
Yeah, when he broke contain, then that's the most dangerous thing for a defensive coach. You know, he dies every time he sees a quarterback break contain, because as soon as he does that, now he's got time to either locate someone else or run up the field. And that time, when Kevin Capps committed up to try to stop the quarterback's forward progress, the tight end came open underneath.
They needed 14 yards for the first down. They got 13 to Sykes. 3rd and 1 from the 25. Clock at 4.5 minutes left. This is Yarborough. He's got 2 TDs already and fighting there, trying to break away toward a 3rd one, but he's tripped up by the Hornets defense.
Well, he's got his first down.
And notice on the field there, you look at your screens at home, notice how the shadows are starting to lengthen. The sun's beginning to drop down in the western sky. We still have some time until halftime, but boy, that could really become important in the second half. Not only is the sun going to be in their eyes, but the glare here, looking downfield, could really be a problem later in the day.
Yes, it could.
1st and 10 from the 27. Green going to Collins. Look out.
Well, he put that ball on the money. Just a simple post pattern. They had the right coverage. Locked up man. The safety wasn't able to get there. He threw the ball in the seam between the safety and the corner.
One man, or Collins would have been off and gone on that one.
Yes,
ball is spotted at the Fullerton 43-yard line.
Here you see that Green just has time to throw the football. Gets back, sets his feet. Just a quick post pattern.
30-yard pass play.
You know, in my opinion, the Fullerton defense looks a little bit ragged right now. And I don't mean ragged in terms of not making plays. I mean they look a step slow.
Well, and the other thing is, and I wondered about this, we'll be checking with Gary Hilbert about it later on. There's a timeout in the field, and this is a good time to talk about it. They have been outsized all season long, but maybe more so today than they have been in other places. They saw some big people in Orange Coast and some other folks, but this is the interior 5 linemen for Bakersfield. Myron Williams, this is left to right, 295. Jeff Miller, who was just named a JC All-American at left guard, 260. Abraham Soto, one of 2 Sotos on the squad, 226 at center. Vic Pierce, right guard, 258. And Don Matthews at right tackle, if you can believe the program, 6'2", 336.
Yeah, they're big and they're pounding, and you know, Fullerton has been outmanned size-wise several times this year, but you know, they haven't come up against a club that had as many weapons and was as good a team besides being as big as they are. This is the first real test they've had of a team has outsized them and also had good talent.
I believe the Hornets called timeout. That would mean they would have 1 remaining in the first half, 2 left for the Renegades. There's the shadows we were talking about. And apologies, we have 2 timeouts taken by both teams so far in the first half.
Yeah, those shadows, the way the kicking game has been going, those shadows may figure to be more prominent as the game goes on.
Green so far, 8 for 17, 99 yards. More importantly, though, no touchdowns through the air. But that could change right here. Green looking long. He's got a man open. And that's Lionel Sykes. And while we're talking about size on that offensive line for the Renegades, Sykes is 6'4" and 225 at tight end. So he's a force to be reckoned with. And there you could see he beat his man and was off and running if the pass had been there.
Yeah, they're pretty big everywhere.
They really are. And as far as Green was concerned, he had his best game of the season in their last regular season victory over LA Valley. He was 18 of 31 for 311 yards and 4 TDs. Not quite that today.
You notice now on second down they went without a huddle. I think they're trying to keep some of Fullerton's nickel people out of there, those extra defensive backs that they might have thought about bringing in on a second down and 10 yards to go.
Well, Yarborough got 1 yard, so it'll be 3rd and 9 from the Hornets' 42-yard line. 3 minutes left in the first half, and clock comes up to the 3-minute mark right now as they get set for this 3rd and 9 play. Split backs looking for the wide man Collins. He runs out of time, and there'll be a sack, but hold everything. We got a flag in the Hornets secondary, and it could be defensive holding. It looked like somebody tried to keep Collins from
well, it's either going to be on 57 holding the tight end dragging across the middle,
or they're trying to hold up Collins. Now, Lindsey Collins is giving the signal of holding, like he is aware of the fact.
Yeah, that's who I meant to say. I think 57, the linebacker.
Defensive holding against the Hornets, 5 yards, automatic first down, and that's another Hornets penalty. We'll try to get the total. Remember,
that may have been on
all
Dante.
Season long, almost 10 penalties a game and nearly 100 yards.
That was either on Dante Venturelli, who was trying to hold up Lindsey Collins dragging across the middle, or else it may have been on Dorian Estes over here at the corner.
There's Sherbeck, and he's not happy. Already with just less than 3 minutes left in the first half, 10 penalties, 60 yards, and we're not even out of the second quarter yet.
Well, there we got another offsides. So there's another free 5 yards for the Bakersfield Renegades.
Line of scrimmage was the 32.
Johnson on the tackle. There's a penalty mark.
And wonder if we've got one each way here. We got offsides against the Hornets again.
Yeah, that one's a pretty clear call. I think that was Mason, wasn't it, there that came across? Actually, it may have been Femley.
So that'll be the 11th penalty.
5-yard penalty.
65 yards, 2 minutes and 30 seconds until halftime. And just like their last touchdown drive, the Hornets kind of giving away the store here to the Renegades, and this is not a team you can do that. Hornets send a linebacker, and they nearly pay the price for it.
Price again.
If Price had been able to get out of that last tackle attempt right there, there was nobody there. The Hornets sent a linebacker. I think they sent Ernest Johnson, if we get a look at the replay, but it's the old thing of hit them where they ain't, as they used to say long ago. And that's a point right there where
defensively, Fullerton just looks very slow at the moment.
They really do.
I think they're being physically handled here.
It could well be. 1st and 10 from the Hornets' 19-yard line.
And just as I say that, the littlest guy on the field, Kevin Capps, comes knifes through and makes a super tackle. So that was Yarborough again with the football.
Price gained 8 yards on the run before that, and then on this one, Yarborough gets from the 19 to maybe the 18, so they'll give him credit for a yard. 2nd and 9 from the Hornets' 18. Minute and a half remaining until halftime. Green looking out to the left side to Collins, and the pass is incomplete. Well, one thing they've pretty well effectively been able to do is shut down the threat of Stan Green through the air. He's 105 completions and 186 attempts for the year. As we said earlier, 1,766 yards. He had 20 touchdowns like Yarborough had on the ground, but that part of the Renegade offense has not been a factor yet. Yarborough has. He's already got 2 TDs.
Well, it actually has in a sense, though, Mark, because it's kept some drives alive with some key plays.
But they are definitely mixing it up quite well between pass and here's a run. Yarborough again, and he almost gets away. John Christensen with the ankle tackle. And Yarborough moves it from the 18 down to the 10-yard line.
You know, we have a replay on this. You'll be able to see that you'd have to be blind not to see that the right side, or actually the left side of the Fullerton defense, is just obliterated on that play. There's nobody there to make the play at the line of scrimmage.
Yarborough so far in the ball game, 10 carries, right 63 yards, and 2 touchdowns. 4th and 1. Carl Price from the 10 to the 5.
Hornets need a big play here. They're just being blocked right now. Straight ahead football, power football.
So the #1 team in the country down by 3, and it could be 10 real quick. The Renegades are playing like it in front of a packed home crowd. 1st and 5. This is Yarborough, that is.
Fine play by Scott Hager. Beat his man, got in, wrapped up on Yarborough around the legs before he could get going.
And we do want to emphasize that it's not Yarborough, it's Yarborough. Reggie Yarborough, 6'1", 195-pound sophomore. There you see the written history of the whole story, but that doesn't really tell about the kickoff returns and the fumbles and the unbelievable amount of penalties that the Hornets have inflicted upon themselves. The score 13-10.
Well, I believe if Bakersfield has called this timeout, it's their last timeout. So with 13 seconds now, they're not. I can't see them taking a shot running the football because I don't think they can get their field goal team on the field quick enough. So you've got to pretty much anticipate a pass.
When you got the #1 quarterback pass efficiency in the state, why not? Along with the clock. And that will be the final timeout of the half by the Renegades.
Now, Mark, I was just going to say, I think this situation lends itself to Fullerton. They've got good skill position people. There's not a whole lot of room for the Bakersfield Renegade receivers to work. So I think this should be a situation here that should work to Fullerton's favor.
And yet,
if they don't make another one of those mistakes.
And yet, if you did some kind of like delayed handoff, if you faked the pass and then gave it to Yarborough, that could be real big trouble.
I tell you, I would do it if I had 25 seconds. I would do it. That would be a great call.
13 seconds left and 4 yards between the Renegades and the Promised Land. 13-10 at the moment. They want more, and they may get it. Wishbone backfield.
Yep. He's got to throw it in the end zone.
Green rolling.
Got his tight end. Lionel Sykes.
You know, before the ball game started, the sports information director for Bakersfield came up to me and he made it loud and clear. He said, you know, Lindsey Collins is getting all the publicity.
That's right.
But Lionel Sykes is the man who's made some noise. Pendleton on for the extra point. It's good. And frankly, the Hornets are in trouble. 7 seconds remaining in the first half. The Bakersfield Renegades having a block party in front of 15,000 friends. They're on top of Fullerton by a score of 20-10. And in case you're wondering and are a little bit concerned about what's going on at the moment, as best I can recall, the Hornets have really not played much catch-up ball this year. Only time that we covered it.
We watched the replay here. What happened was when he faked into the line to Yarborough, one of the guys, the linebacker who had responsibility for the tight end, let him off easy, and the safety came up on the play because he thought Yarborough was going to get the ball, and he let the tight end go and drift free into that little hook to curl zone. That was a defensive breakdown. When you play in defense, everybody has to play their specific assignment. In that particular time, there was a breakdown there. And because Green was able to get outside, he had all day to look for Sykes as well.
Squib kick, short, taken by the Hornets at the 30-yard line.
Tony Goulet, I believe.
Goulet returning the ball.
Yes, it is.
Tackled by
For the Renegades, 15 plays, 84 yards, 5 minutes and 15 seconds.
Now let's air this thing out. Let's see if we can get a big play. Fullerton's made big plays all year. Let's try to make another one.
2 seconds left.
We complete it, maybe get a pass interference, and we can go ahead and kick a field goal if we get enough yardage.
They're just going to run out the clock. And as we said, or started to say a moment ago, other than the Grossmont Griffins that we televised earlier in the year, the Hornets have not really had to play catch-up before. And now they've got to do it against the #3 ranked team in the country when the second half gets underway.
Now, right now, Mark, the Hornets are, to put it bluntly, they're being manhandled.
And I don't think I would want to hear the language in the Hornets locker room at halftime. This time, Coach Sherbeck has a few things to say.
I would assume so. But you know, there have been some defensive breakdowns and there have been some mistakes, but frankly, they're just being out. They're being out hit. They're being out overplayed by bigger, stronger people right now.
They're being outbigged. And you know, the thing is, no matter how sophisticated the game of football gets, it still comes down to
still basic.
Draw the line, and I'm going to hit you and see if you can hit me harder. In the meanwhile, we'll go down to the field of battle and see what Gary Hilbert's been able to find out.
Go ahead. Am I on?
Yes.
Oh. Okay, we're live at halftime with my guests on the halftime show as 3 of the last national championship ball players that the Fullerton College Hornets have had here. On my left is Brian Owens, who later went on to play for the University of Hawaii, the Rainbows. And next to me here on my right, Dale Glenn. Of course, Dale went on to play for the national championship Oklahoma Sooners back in the year of 85-86. And, of course, Mr. Fred Dodd, also a member of the Fullerton College Hornets championship year from 1983. Welcome, guys. And first of all, Dale, let me talk to you real quick here. What have you seen on the field so far? It looks like the defense for Fullerton has been a little bit slow.
Well, the way I see it, Fullerton isn't getting beat by Bakersfield. They're getting beat by Fullerton. The only thing they need to do is pull it together. The things that put them out of position and got them behind this game are little penalties and a drop pass.
Okay, and Brian, as far as the Fullerton College offense is concerned, have you seen any bright spots, with the exception of Haydick's great play to have the long touchdown?
Well, like Dale said, they have a couple of drop passes, and they need to pull their stuff together and start, playing some good offense and moving the ball.
And, of course, Fred, I would think that it was mainly the defense that has got a lot of work done, a lot of work cut out for them in the second half.
Yes, they do, because, Fullerton always had a great defense, and I feel they will come back because they're strong and they will do it.
Okay, now personally from you guys, Dale, of course you went on to play for Oklahoma. What was your experiences out there? Of course, an excellent organization to play for.
Well, the experience out there came back to the basics that I've learned at Fullerton College. It's been all about a gut check, which is what Fullerton needs to find right now. And just the basics that you learn here is togetherness, the gut check, and, hard work ethics.
Okay, and of course, Brian Owens on my left played for Hawaii, and Fred Dodd, members of the 1983 National Championship for Fullerton College. Thank you guys for being my halftime guest, and let's go back upstairs with Mark and Dale.
Get another one.
All right, thank you, Gary. And the halftime activities continue here at Memorial Stadium in Bakersfield, California. A fine crowd on hand, and the shadows continue to grow. That could be a factor for the good or the bad if you're the Hornets in the second half. And that second half will be here before you know it. We'll be back with kind of the tail of the tape of the first half and the action of the second half after this. There's the score.